And one thing that was pointed out to us this week is we do not have a link to our YouTube channel on our website. So we are going to remedy that and get that link up so that everybody can go and explore our YouTube channel, because there's a lot of really great presentations and information on that site as well. So Mike.
Sarah, sorry, may I just interrupt for a sec?
Sure.
I think did you mention already about how we're not having meetings through the summer?
No, I haven't. This is our last meeting until the fall. I think everyone knows how busy we get through the summer months and how we want to be out birding and enjoying the nice summer nights. So we will be getting back together again in September. If you have any ideas or have any topics that you'd like to see discussed at any of these meetings, please send them along to any OFO board member, but especially Angie Williams, who is responsible for organizing our meetings on a regular basis. So if you have any ideas for upcoming topics or subjects that you want to see, we want to know about it. And I guess that's where we'll leave it off to you now, Mike. And I'm just going to mute myself and let you take over.
Okay. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks everybody for coming tonight. I didn't even realize, I probably should have known, but I didn't realize this was our last one for the spring. So I guess that's an extra honor for me, because you're going to have to think about the things I said all summer and until we get back together for another one of these. But hopefully all of us get to run into each other out birding through the spring. So speaking of the spring, that's kind of where this topic is got its roots. We're talking tonight about some of the resources that are on the OFO webpage that'll help you find birds this spring. So the way I don't have like a slideshow. Instead, I'm going to just walk us through the website and talk about the different resources that are there. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on one particular feature that's brand new. We just finally put it up last night. So couldn't be much newer than that. And it's one that I'm super, super excited to share with everybody tonight, because I think it's gonna make birding even better in Ontario. So I'm gonna share my screen here. All right, and Sarah or Colleen, can I get a thumbs up that you can see that? Perfect. Okay. And because I'm trying to do this fairly informally, I'm okay, Sarah and Colleen, if somebody types something into the chat and you think it makes sense to interrupt me, please go ahead and interrupt me. But we will have lots of time for questions at the end as well. Okay, so what you should be seeing is the OFO website. Hopefully you've seen that place before. It's just ofo.ca to get to it. And there's a whole bunch of menus over beside the Prairie Warbler. I'm going to focus in on the Finding Birds menu. And I'm going to zoom in a little, actually, make this a little easier to see. Is that better? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was pretty small there. So the Finding Birds menu, there's a whole bunch of tools under there. I'm going to touch on most of them right now. And then, as I said, I'm going to focus in on one in particular. So the first tool that's under there is this recent sightings. So I'm going to click on that and show you what it looks like. So this is straight out of eBird. It takes all the information in eBird. When you submit or somebody else submits an eBird checklist and a bird gets flagged as rare, which could be because it's a little too early or it's out of range, it'll get flagged as rare. And so all those species that have gotten flagged in the last 7 days, they show up on this map. So you can use the map and scroll around and see if there's any near you. I'm going to zoom in over here around Peterborough. I'm in Peterborough tonight. And you can click on one. So there was a trumpeter swan near Fowler's Corners in Kawartha Lakes. So that might not be rare in your area, but it's fairly uncommon in that area. There's also the list of all the species that have been flagged along the left-hand menu. So if you see one that jumps out at you, like, hey, pink-footed goose, where is that? You can click on it, and because I'm zoomed out, you can't see it, but there it is. That's the one that pops up there. That's the pink-footed goose, and it'll give you some information about where it was last seen. So this is straight out of eBird, but a little more digestible way to look at things from the past week. Nice and easy tool to use. You can bookmark that and just come back to it once in a while, but very handy. Okay, back to finding birds. I'm gonna skip down to, I'm gonna skip Ontario hotspots because that's the one we're gonna focus in on tonight. The next one down is the OFO Discord. And so this is the Discord server that OFO runs. And so some of you have probably heard of Discord before. It's an app that you can use on your phone. You can also use it through your web browser. And there's different servers, kind of like Facebook groups that you can join and have mostly like discussions and things like that. And the OFO one has lots of different content. The content I wanted to show you is if you scroll down to the eBird alerts. Here we go. So here's Ontario wide. We have Ontario eBird. If we click on it, this is going to show you records of very rare species in the province that have come into eBird. We have a really cool tool that grabs the eBird data and then spits out the records into the Discord server onto this channel if they're provincially rare things like super rare, like glaucous winged gull or Lewis's woodpecker or Asian collared dove. The nice thing about this feed is it's not going to give you like every single record that shows up of those species, so you're not going to get overwhelmed like when 100 people go and report pink-footed goose. This is only going to give you one report every 3 hours at maximum. So it's nice and handy way to keep track of rare things that are being reported to eBird. And then there's also regional feeds as well. So like if I went to Algoma eBird, we'd see the Algoma rarities, and these are local rarities. So Eastern towhee might not be rare at Point Pelee right now, but it's pretty rare in Algoma district. So another handy tool. You can bookmark this website as well and just come back to it. If you just want to look at it on the internet, you don't have to join Discord that way and set up an account. But if you want to get alerts to your phone, then it's best to install Discord and fiddle with the different settings. Okay, moving down our list. I'm going to go down to rare bird alerts and news. So this is a resource that OFO puts together, and if you ever notice anything that's missing from this or have suggestions to add to it, please let us know by emailing ofo@ofo.ca. But this is a list of different resources that are out there to help you find rare birds, especially, but as well as just connect with other people about birds. Lots of these are not run by OFO, but we're trying to compile a resource for you to see what's out there. So there's provincial rare bird alerts, or RBAs. So we've got Aunt Birds, which is run by OFO. There's rare bird alerts from eBird, the OFO Discord server I mentioned already. There's the Ontario Bird Alert Discord server, which a lot of you are probably on. That one focuses on rare bird reports provincially and regionally. There's also a rare bird alert Google group that takes eBird feeds as well. And then there's a whole bunch of other resources, lots of Facebook groups and things like that, Google groups. So these are a great list of resources, and it should be fairly up to date. We checked most of these links fairly recently, but again, if you notice something that's not there that should be, please let us know, or if something's not working, same thing. Okay. And last one I'm going to mention, well, under the Finding Birds, there is the Aunt Birds and Bird News archives. So those are the two OFO run email list serves. Aunt Birds is for the provincially rare stuff, and Bird News is for everything else. If you want to just go read what's been reported to those two email groups, you can click on the archives buttons and it'll take you to the page that lists the archives. You can bookmark it so you can go back to it easily. But you can also subscribe to those services to get the information sent to you by email. At the very bottom, there's a list of local birding clubs, kind of similar to the page we're on, the rare bird alerts and birding news feeds. This just lists all these different birding clubs that we know of. There's more all the time, it seems, but if you notice one that's not there that should be, let us know again. But you might find a local group to join on top of OFO. Okay, so that's the majority of what's in this Finding Birds. Lots of information about where rare birds are, where birds are. But I wanted to focus in on our new feature, which is the Ontario hotspots. So I'm going to click on that. And we've got our information page about this new project for birding hotspots. So lots of information to get you started. I'm going to walk us through this new website that OFO has partnered with called birdinghotspots.org. So the information here is here. There's a little walkthrough video that I did up that's on our YouTube channel as well. We're not going to watch it today because I'm basically going to take you through it in a live view. But if you wanted to come back and watch it another time or send it to somebody who you think might be interested, please do. So I'm just going to jump straight to birdinghotspots.org on the Ontario page, and we'll start talking about it. So this birdinghotspots.org, it's a website that was created by a couple birders in the States, and it's run by them and a team of volunteers. And it's really a really cool idea. It's a really great way to get information out there. Basically, it takes all the hotspots out of eBird, which there's a lot. There's over 6,000 in Ontario that have been marked as hotspots. So it takes all the information from eBird, and then for each of those hotspots, it knows where the hotspot is. It knows, how many species have been seen. It's got, you can go to a bar chart for those things on eBird, things like that. So it takes all that information, and then it combines it with sort of the human element by getting birders like you and me to add in sort of the contextual information that you can't get from eBird. So things like birding tips, directions how to get there, special rules for how to access it, whether or not there's a fee to get in, where's the closest bathroom, things like that. So it's really, the idea is to use sort of this crowdsourced option to compile all this information into one awesome place. So it's really, the idea is for this is to become sort of the go-to place when you want to know more information about a site. So I'm going to walk us through the site, show you some of the features, how you can use it to help you plan. I'll show you some examples of sites that have been filled out by volunteers, and sort of explain how you can get involved and help out with the project. So when you first come to the birdinghotspots.org webpage, you can click on Ontario to come to this page. This page gives you an overview of Ontario from the page's perspective. So it tells you how many hotspots there are. There's over 6,000, as I said. We're closing in on 300, which I think we've added 50 or more in the last 24 hours that have content. So somebody's come along and suggested some text to go in for some of the information. So we obviously got a long way to go to fill these hotspots up, but lots of information has been added. There's a map that shows you the different regions within Ontario. eBird calls them counties, but some places they're counties, some places they're regional municipalities or districts or whatever. So we've got our map. You can hover over a spot on the map to figure out which area, if you're interested in a certain area. You can scroll down and you'll see a list of the top hotspots for Ontario. And this is from most species to least species reported in eBird. So you got Point Pelee with 371 and Tippalong Point with 341 and so on. There's a spot for more information we haven't added much here yet. So far, really, the only thing we've added is we've got our archive of OFO birding hotspot articles that have appeared in OFO's publications like OFO News and Ontario Birds. So we might add some more articles there as time goes on. And then the last thing on the website is these notable sightings. And this is just like that feed I showed you on the OFO website that takes all the eBird rare bird sightings and puts them on that map. This is the same thing, just in a table feed. So I'm gonna click on a region here to show you how it looks when you get in a closer to a region. So I'm gonna click on Peterborough, which is where I am. And so we're taken to the Peterborough page. Looks similar to the Ontario page. Total number of hotspots. We've got just under 200 hotspots in Peterborough, and about a third of them have images and content. Right underneath the Where to Go Birding in Peterborough County are a couple of links. The Find Hotspots. This takes you to different features on this website. So the hotspot map is what we're looking at right now. We could go to the top hotspots, which lists top hotspots from highest number of species to lowest number of species in the region. Could see the full list. And then this thing called group locations, which are hotspots that are made up of multiple hotspots, basically. Then there's a link to the illustrated checklist that's on eBird. And then if you click on the 3 dots beside that, it gives you all this other information from eBird. So if we wanted to see a list of recent visits that are on eBird, we could see that. If we wanted a bar chart to show us what species to expect at different times of the year, we could grab that. And you can even link to things like your personal life list if you're signed into eBird. So on the map, it shows all the hotspots that are in Peterborough County. They're color coded based on basically how hot they are. So the yellows and oranges have more species than the blues and grays. Down below that, we've got our list of top hotspots within Peterborough. That's sorted from highest number of species to lowest number of species. And if they've got a photo for the site, that photos is showing. And then we've got a full list of all the hotspots that are in Peterborough in alphabetical order. The one thing to notice are the ones that are in bold. Those are hotspots that somebody has added content for, whether it's photos of the site or if it's text information about birding at the site. And then at the very bottom, there's these notable sightings again that we talked about straight out of eBird. So you can see what sort of rare things have been seen in the region lately, according to eBird. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of hotspots, how they look when we get on a page. So I'm going to first I'll click on Lakefield Sewage Lagoons because that's the top hotspot in Peterborough. So I've opened it up in this new tab. On each hotspot page, you're going to see a photo if there is one. We can also add Google Street View, which is what we're seeing here. This is the street view of the entrance to the Lakefield Sewage Lagoons. With Street View, it's a bit different because you can click on it and interact like you would if you were right in Google. But if there's more than one image, it'll say the number of photos there are in the top corner. So this one, there is another photo. So I'm going to click over. That'll take us to the photo that's been submitted. If there's any information about it, you can click on the photo to see it sort of full screen. And this one, it says, you might not be able to see that. It's pretty small here, but it says view of the North Cell looking east toward the trees, photo by Dave Milsom. So thanks to Dave Milsom for uploading that photo of that site. So there's a photo. And if you've got photos, this is a great way that you can help build this directory. Photos that show access points or maps or special features of the site are most useful. Then further down below, you've got the information about the hotspot. So number of species, you could get directions using Google Maps, link to the illustrated checklist, and then the 3 dots takes you to all the other shortcuts that take you straight to eBird to see things like bar charts or recent visits or your life list for the site. The information that's written is broken down into 3 main categories, or there's 4 actually, but this one doesn't have the 4th one. There's tips for birding, there's information about the location, notable trails, and then there's birds of interest is the other category. That's missing here because nobody's filled any information in. The other super handy feature is there's a list of a quick list of features that can be checked off. So this site does not have restrooms and there's no roadside viewing. So don't go there hoping for either of those things. That's what it looks like if a site is partially filled in. I pulled up another example that shows you a more complete, but not fully complete site. So this is the Lawson Nature Reserve in Oxford County. And again, we've used the Google Street View image to show you the entrance to the site. Same sort of information straight from eBird that's pulled up underneath the name. There's some links in this one. We've put up some links that are useful in particular for the Lawson Nature Reserve. Then there's information, lots has been filled in on the site thanks to those websites that have information about it. And then what's really handy is this site has a map that's been uploaded. And so when maps have been uploaded, they show up on the right side underneath the stock map that comes out of Mapbox. And so you can click on the map, and this is super handy if you've got a site that has a map with trails and things like that. So somebody's found this map that's online, put it up here, and we've got it on the website. That comes from the Ingersoll District Nature Club. So everything on here, if it gets uploaded, it's credited to who's done the information, where it comes from. Lots of information about the trails coming from the website. And down at the bottom, I should have showed this on the Lakefield Sewage Lagoon site. It got the credit. The content comes from the Ingersoll Nature Club website and the Ontario Nature website on the Lawson Nature Reserve. So that's what a site can look like when it's been filled in. If you click on a site that doesn't have anything, so I'm going to click on Jack Lake Road Bog. This is the basic information. So it has a nice map that comes from, that uses this Mapbox tool. But it'll say here under about this location, there's this little block that says, if you're familiar with it, please help us by providing content. So you can suggest content, upload photos, you can click that. You can also upload photos by clicking up at the top, and suggest edit up at the top as well. They're super basic. If you click upload photos, just takes you to the page where you've got to put in your name and your email. That's so that we can contact you if we have questions. And then you just copy the photos from your computer or your phone or whatever, and then save. Very easy to add photos, and suggest edits is also very easy. Click the suggest edit button. Again, we need your name and email address so we can contact you if we have questions. Also so that we can credit you for providing the information. And then you can just type in the information in the different boxes: tips for birding, birds of interest, about this location, notable trails. And then there's those yes, no kind of buttons, whether there's restrooms, whether there's a accessible trail, whether there's roadside bird viewing, if there's an entrance fee. And then you can provide some notes to the editor if you have some comments. Sometimes we get feedback on sites where they're not actually providing any new information, but they have some notes about an error or anything else that they want to pass on to the editors. So it's very easy to suggest edits. So if you know a site really well, or even just a little bit, we're really hoping that the birding community uses this tool to find their birding sites and plan their trips, but also to share the information they have. That's such a great tradition within the birding community, to share that information. And this is about as easy as it can be to share the information and have it all sort of centralized in one centralized place that everybody can access equally. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to show you before we go over to questions. Yeah, I guess the one thing I'll show you, because it's the one aspect that I find a little non-intuitive, are the thing I mentioned earlier called group hotspots. So a good example, let me find one here. I'm going to go down to Essex County. And I'm going to go to group locations. So we've got Point Pelee National Park as a good example of a group. Point Pelee is a single hotspot, but it's made up of how many? 15 sub hotspots basically. So you've got the overall hotspot, Point Pelee National Park, but then you've got the tip, you got the visitor center, you got Woodland Nature Trail, you've got Tilden's Woods. So the group is how we manage it on this website. And so there's sort of an overarching page for the group. So here's Point Pelee National Park. We got some website information for that sort of applies to the entire site. Haven't put in a description yet. We've got a map in this case, some maps that are useful for birders from the whole for the whole park. And then you can click on an individual site within this group to go to that individual page, which would have specific information. So, we could go to the tip, and it's got the same general information as the park, but we'd be able to put in specific details about, tips for birding at the tip of Point Pelee, as opposed to more generally within the park. So that's the only kind of thing that I think trips up some people using this site. And we haven't created all the groups that we need to yet. That's sort of an ongoing process. But if you see a group that doesn't exist that you want to be created, so you can start suggesting content, you can just contact us. And the way you contact us is hotspots@ofo.ca, which is on that website, on the OFO website that I started with, hotspots@ofo.ca. So that's a quick run through. I see there's some things in the chat. I haven't opened those up, but we can take the time for questions now.
All right. Well, I guess the first question relates to the recent sightings thing in the Finding Birds tab, and whether it's viewable from mobile devices. You can see our website, and you can see that on a phone. I checked on a mobile device while we were chatting. However, it's not an optimal view on a phone, but you can get to it. You'll just have to do some zooming in and out on your phone. Joanne said, thank you. Someone's wondering about what kind of measures are being taken to prevent malicious content from being entered.
Yeah, so you can't, anybody can go on and suggest stuff, but it all has to get reviewed by an editor. So that's, it sounds onerous, I guess, but that's kind of the best way we can do it, is manually review every suggestion that's made. I didn't mention it, but we're also asking for people to, we're asking for people to submit information for sites they're familiar with. But if you know the sites within your region really well, and you want to take on a bigger role with this project, we're looking for regional representatives who would kind of take the lead on ensuring that their region is complete, filling in gaps and looking for errors within their region, those sorts of things. But back to the original question, yeah, everything gets manually reviewed by a human being before it can go through on the website.
All right. So someone's saying thanks. I think this is a great resource. And congratulations to who conceived and built this. It is a fabulous resource. So I'm not sure, are there any other questions out there that anyone has? That YouTube video, I think, will be a great resource for people to be able to go back to. So once you're starting to get in there and navigate, and if you are starting to questions. Oh, someone asked if you could repeat the email address for the hotspots. Oh, I popped it in there. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just dropped the page on the OFO website into the chat. That'll get you to the address eventually. If you scroll down below the picture of Long Point, the Long Point Lighthouse, there's a header that says help grow the directory, and the email address is there. I guess I can pop that in too. But
someone says it seems like there are hotspot maps for places other than Ontario. True.
Yeah, so this website is not an Ontario specific project. So I mentioned earlier it was started by Ken Ostermiller. He started it, Ken Ostermiller. He's down there at the bottom of the webpage. He started it for Ohio a long time ago. And OFO had discussed with him a couple of years ago about doing something similar for Ontario, but it was very, very resource intensive in terms of human resource. It was basically a full-time job for Ken to do, and we didn't have those resources here in Ontario with OFO. So we were kind of trying to figure out how we could do something similar for less intensive. And we started working on a project. And then in the meantime, Ken Ostermiller, he met this other birder, Adam Jackson, who's a web developer. And Adam was able to streamline the process and make a lot of this a lot more automated. So it takes a lot of the manual work out of the process to do this, and linking things back and forth to eBird automatically. So since that has happened, OFO's signed up, and there's now 18 American states that have a page within the birdinghotspots.org website. So it's really grown in the last year since it came online in this environment. And I think more provinces and states will sign up. It really just needs somebody to take the lead, or an organization to take the lead on managing the editing duties for the area.
Awesome. There's people who are saying they're going to be busy with the Atlas this spring, which I'm sure you're also happy about that, Mike.
Yeah.
That maybe they can help with this in the fall. Someone's going to give it a try when they're coming up to Ontario this spring and fall, mainly be using it for Huron County. And Roxanne says this will be amazing for traveling when we're not sure how to access a hotspot. Thank you. And I think that's a really great point too, is learning how to access these places, and which social lagoons you can go into, which ones you need codes for, and how to get all of that information, because so often that can be a little daunting if you've never been to an area before. So
yeah, as an example, here's one, and you would have seen, I'm sorry if I think it was Alan Woodliff who posted a couple weeks ago the information on how to get a permit for the Blenheim sewage lagoons this spring. And so I quickly took that information, I put it onto the Blenheim sewage lagoon page on the website. So now you don't need to have seen that email. You just go to the Blenheim sewage lagoon hotspot page, and there's a section there, access requirements, how to get a permit to get into the site. And I don't know how many times you see, whether it's on Facebook or on Discord or somewhere else, people are asking that question: how do you get to the site, or what are the rules for the site? So instead of asking those questions over and over again, and 10 people seeing the answer, we've got a spot where everybody can go to and have a central place where you can just keep the information up to date, and then everybody knows where to get it.
Someone's asking if you need an account to log in and access the hotspot site. So if you're just going in to use it, do you need an account?
No, you don't need an account. The only people who have accounts are the editors. So anybody can go in and look at the content, and anybody can go in and suggest edits or add photos. None of those people need accounts. It's just the people who are doing the editing behind the scenes.
Excellent. All right. Where are we seeing? All right, any other questions in the mix? All right, well, I think we're finished with our formal part of the presentation. Colleen, do we have any field trips coming up that people might want to know about? I'm not hearing you call. I'm not sure. I will mention a couple of things myself. If anyone is coming to Point Pelee and would like to volunteer at the Shorebird Nights at Hillman Marsh, please get in touch with David Milsom about that, or me, and I can pass your name along to Dave. There'll be Shorebird viewing nights that OFO's helping host on Wednesdays and Saturdays between May 1st and May 22nd. So if you want to come help out and show people some shorebirds, we're definitely looking for volunteers for that. And OFO is also hosting a Birding with Pride event at Point Pelee on May the 6th. So if you're going to be in the Pelee area and you want to come out and attend the event, you are more than welcome. If you would like to volunteer with the event, we could probably still use some people to help out at that. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with me about that. And I'll just pop my email into the chat if anyone's looking to get a hold of me about any of those things. So
Can you hear me now, Sarah?
yes, we can hear you now, Colleen.
That's great. So we do have a Hewlett Marsh in Exeter Lagoons in Huron County coming up on April 16th. That one still has space for 10 more people.
Awesome.
April 23rd, we've got Peterborough area, another 10 spaces there. And then early May, we've got Toronto Islands. Lots of room on that one, May 6th. Parry Sound, oh wait, that one's full. May 7th, Rondeau Provincial Park. Room for another 10 people there. I would suggest, and then Bracebridge, May 13th. There's room for that one, May 14th, Murphy's Point. So have a look at our website because there are trips that still have space.
Excellent. All right. So I'm just wondering, are there any other questions out there before we let everybody continue on with their evenings? Or if there's anyone who has any just general OFO questions or comments or wants to share anything they've been doing or seeing in their area, we've got a little bit of time. If anyone has anything they'd like to share. All right. Well, thank you everyone for popping out tonight. As I said before, you might want to check out the YouTube channel, and I will be uploading this meeting to the YouTube channel. If you do go to the OFO, to the Ontario Field Ornithologists on YouTube, you'll see a few different playlists. We have some webinars, and we've created a new playlist for members meetings. So all of these meetings that we've been having over the last few months, most of them are up. There's a few that we're still in the process of getting up on there, but there's always an opportunity to go back and view past members meetings, or if you know you're going to miss one, don't fret, it will be up on the YouTube page, and we try and get those up as fast as we can. So it's just a little bit of technical who's uploading and downloading the files and recording things. So fortunately, the person who recorded is also the person who does the uploading tonight, so it'll go a little bit faster this time. So I wanted to say a big thanks for everyone for coming out tonight. It's great to see everybody. And I hope you're enjoying spring so far. I know it may not feel like spring where everybody is right now, but I wish you all happy spring migration. It's my favorite time of the year. I'm just loving seeing new things every day, even if it's stuff I've seen a million times before, you know, like the first bunch of flickers that are just all over the place last week just made me smile like no, there was no tomorrow. So I hope you all have a wonderful spring migration, and hopefully I'll see you guys. If you're at Peely, come find me because you know I'm going to be around. So thanks everyone and have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.